Have you ever stopped at a gas station in the middle of the night? When the lights are dim, the lot is empty, and it feels like someone is watching you. In today's video, you'll hear 4 true horror stories, all of them taking place at one of the most ordinary places, the gas station. These aren't fiction. And if you've ever thought you were safe just stopping for a few minutes after dark, after this video, you may never feel that way again. Story 1. Bob and the Rain of Blood. Have you ever looked at someone and instantly known something's wrong with them? I used to think my night shift at a small-town gas station was just a temporary job, but that place gave me an experience I'll never forget. Starting from my second month there, a man began showing up every night like clockwork. Around 2 a.m., the glass doors would slide open, and he'd walk in. He was tall, skinny, around 6 feet, with greasy, long hair that looked unwashed for a week. He never bought more than a tall beer, never pumped gas, never talked, just came in and left. I didn't pay much attention until one night he stopped at the counter, looked up at me and asked, "What's your name?" I answered Rob. He smirked and repeated it to himself. Rob, I like that name. Then popped open his beer, turned away, and mumbled incoherently as he walked out. From that night on, he started calling me "Hey Rob" every time he entered. Some nights he was drunk, just standing there leaning on the shelf, staring blankly at the wall. I asked his name once. He hesitated, then said Bob. I didn't believe him, but I didn't push it. One night he looked at me with a cold grin and said, "You know, Rob, you seem like someone who knows what they're doing." I didn't get it, but his eyes told me he wasn't right in the head. Then he disappeared. For a week. I figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. It was a stormy night. Wind howled against the windows. The lights flickered. Then I heard the bell. I turned around. It was Bob. But not the Bob I remembered. His hair was plastered to his face, soaked. His black shirt clung to his pale skin. His face was ghostly white, his eyes blank. He stood at the door unmoving, staring into nothing like he was hearing something I couldn't. I asked Bob, "You okay?" He didn't turn. He whispered, "I just did something really bad." Then walked past me into the back hallway toward the restroom. Never looked back. 30 minutes passed. Nothing. I started getting nervous. Then total blackout. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped slowly into the hallway. Both restroom doors were cracked open. Empty. The beam of my light trembled as I swept it toward the storage room. There he was, standing in the corner, eyes wide, unblinking. Dark stains covered parts of his shirt. Could have been mud. Could have been something else. Suddenly he screamed, "I'll kill you," and charged at me like a wounded animal. I struck him with the flashlight, shoved him away, and ran to my car. Locked the doors. Hands trembling, I called 911. Police found him curled in the storage room like an animal, muttering nonsense. His real name was Martin. That night he'd murdered his ex-wife with a hammer and stopped by the gas station as if nothing happened. I never worked another night shift again. And if you're ever alone at night, remember, that familiar customer may be walking in, with blood still drying on their hands. Story 2. The Backseat Stranger. There's one rule I learned from this. Always check your back seat, especially after midnight. Too bad I only learned it after I nearly didn't get the chance. It was a regular weekend night. I had just dropped a friend off after hanging out at the park until 3 or 4 a.m. On my way home, I stopped at a nearby gas station. It was almost 4 in the morning. The place was dead silent. The green-tinted fluorescent lights barely lit the misty pavement. As I stepped out of the car, a short man in a hoodie slowly walked by. No car, no rush. I glanced at him, kept walking, but I felt it. He stopped and turned to watch me. I asked, "Can I help you?" He said nothing, just stared, unblinking. I brushed it off. Just a crackhead, I thought. I went in, paid for gas, grabbed a scratch off, and returned to fill up. Still no one around. The silence was chilling. I filled up fast, jumped back in, locked the doors, and drove off. A few minutes down the road, something felt off. Not a sound, not a sight, just a feeling, like someone was staring at me. I glanced in the rearview mirror and froze. He was sitting in my back seat. No sound, no movement. Just staring at me through the mirror, eyes wide like he was savoring the silence. I screamed, a blood-curdling, full-lung scream. I slammed the brakes, threw the door open, and ran into the middle of the street. "Get out, there's someone in my car." He calmly opened the door, smiled, and said I could have slit your throat as soon as the wheels started moving. I screamed for help. A few houses lit up. One door opened. He looked around and ran, not in a panic, just like he was done playing. Some neighbors came to check on me. I was shaking, telling them everything. One of them said, "Good thing you noticed." At that hour, no one would have heard you. I drove home with my eyes glued to the mirror. Didn't sleep that night. And ever since, before I get in any car, day or night, I check the back seat. Paranoid maybe, but if you've ever heard someone breathing just behind your neck, you'd understand. Story 3. The door I never opened. I never thought a simple morning from my childhood would haunt me forever. This happened in the mid-60s. I was maybe 8 or 9. My dad was a teacher, and every morning he'd drive me to the school where he worked. We'd leave early before sunrise when the streets were quiet and the streetlights still glowed yellow. Nearly every day we stopped at a tiny roadside gas station. One of those old independent ones, faded metal pumps, a small glass booth, and 2 restroom doors out back. I always used the restroom there. The school was a long drive. The attendant was an older man in a blue jumpsuit. He always wore a coin counter on his belt. But that morning, something was different. The sky was darker. The silence was heavier. We pulled in, no lights in the booth, no one around. Dad honked. Once, twice, again. Nothing. I said, "Maybe he's in the restroom." Dad looked at the clock, nodded. "Maybe, but we're already late. We can't wait." I reached for the door. "I really need to go." Dad gently stopped me. "Hold it until the next station. Something's off here." I stayed put. We drove off. The day went on. 2 mornings later, everything changed. Dad was reading the newspaper. Suddenly he froze. He lowered it slowly, eyes wide. That was our gas station. I sat up straight. A tiny article on page 3, gas station attendant found dead in restroom. Multiple stab wounds. Robbery suspected. All cash and coins stolen. I felt ice in my veins. That's the door I was going to open. If I'd stepped out, if I'd pushed that door, I might have been the one to find the body. Or worse, the killer might have still been there. Dad looked at me, serious and soft. Sometimes the smallest decision changes everything. We never went back to that gas station again, and all these years later, I still remember that rusty restroom door slightly open, like it was waiting for someone. Story 4. The man beyond the pump. Some nights tiredness makes you careless, and one careless moment can cost you everything. I was 25, fresh off a late shift driving through Texas. My schedule didn't let me leave earlier, so I hit the road close to midnight. The highway was empty, the night quiet. I was fighting sleep. To stay awake, I kept stopping at gas stations for coffee. The third one, I'll never forget. It sat alone on a side road. No big signs, just a faint yellow light above rusty old pumps. One car was there, a silver sedan, parked, lights off. I pulled up, then walked inside. Two people, a middle-aged man at the counter, and a guy pacing between shelves, carrying nothing. I headed for the coffee. Then he walked up. Leaning in close, he whispered, "Careful. It's hot." His breath smelled foul. His eyes scanned me like I was a meal. I gave a tight smile, walked to the counter, but he followed, right behind me as I paid. "I like your jacket," he said. I muttered, "Thanks." Then, "Where you headed?" This late I turned, looked him dead in the eye. "Leave me alone." The clerk didn't react, didn't seem to understand. I left quickly. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong. I was pumping gas when I heard footsteps from the other side of the pump. I turned. He was standing there. No car, no pump, just standing, staring. I slipped my hand into the car, grabbed my pepper spray. I pretended not to see him, kept pumping. Then he asked, "You traveling alone?" My heart pounded. "No. My boyfriend's asleep in the car." He stepped closer, peered in, grinned. "I don't see anyone." I spun, raised the spray to his face. He flinched, stepped back, still smiling. "Relax, just talking." But his eyes never left mine, even as he backed toward the store. I finished pumping, then realized I had $6 in change to collect. Problem. He was between me and the door, still holding the spray. I stepped slowly. He backed off just enough for me to slip inside. I whispered to the clerk, "That man is scaring me." The clerk shook his head, confused. I looked out. No one. Silence. I stood by the door, paralyzed. He was hiding. I could feel it. Then a massive pickup pulled in. I ran out, asked the driver, "Can you check behind my car?" He blinked, confused, nodded, and then shouted, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" The man leapt from behind my car. No smile now, no words, just ran. Into the dark. I didn't follow. I didn't look back. I just drove. Fast. That night I learned something. If someone stands too long on the other side of the pump without a reason, their reason might be you. Gas stations, cars, late nights. We think they're harmless. But as these stories show, familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort blinds us. Thanks for staying until the end. If you've experienced something terrifying, share it in the comments or email us below. Your story might be featured in the next episode.